And we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the
Hello.
swamp where it can get really deep and really yucky really fast down here. And now it seems to be spreading. So, welcome to Trudging Through the Gunk. And I have with me the lovely Helen, Irish Granny Tarot, the wonderful Marina, Heart Centered Tarot, and Denise Siegel, psychic astrologer, fabulous astrologer, and David, Tarot by the Bay. And
Right.
I don't know where Gary is, but
I send them the invites.
we'll be able to snag him on. Linda might show up. She said she was going to try. We'll see. If not, then maybe she'll just pop into the chat for a minute. So, and I know Mel won't be here because he had previous plans he couldn't change. So, what the hell just happened? It seems like I'm saying that a lot lately.
It's been the craziest summer I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It's the craziest summer.
Yeah. Absolutely. Biden has dropped out.
Yep.
Everybody and their brother is now endorsing Kamala Harris, which I don't have an issue with. She was my first choice. My earbud fell out of my ear. She was my first choice. And there's Gary. He finally showed up. Okay.
Hello.
Gary. Hi, Gary.
Hello.
Gary, there's Helen and Denise. I don't think you've met them yet. So
Hello.
and
Hi, Helen.
Nice
Hi,
to meet you.
David's twin
Nice to
brother,
meet you.
Gary. So
You're not really related, are you?
No.
twins.
Yeah, they both have gray hair and glasses.
They're identical twin
Or white
cousins.
hair and glasses.
I'm
I
gullible. You could tell me anything, I'd believe it. I was saying that Nate and I did cards over the past few months, and we've consistently come up with chaos all summer, chaos at the Republican convention, chaos at the Democratic convention, something really shocking sometime in the middle of the summer. And Biden would pull out and hand it over to Kamala. But our assumption, and that's where you shouldn't assume, was the chaos in the Republican convention would be because of Trump. The something shocking, who knew? Democratic would be the whole hoo-ha about Biden, but he'd still be the candidate. And then they would take the oath for their second term. And then he would hand it over to Kamala. I didn't think it was going to play out quite like this.
Yeah, it's very bizarre. Yeah. I don't think it would have if that debate hadn't happened. And then you look back on how much was being hidden from the public. I was wondering, why is Biden not? He doesn't really do press. He doesn't do any press. He doesn't really talk to the public. And then you go, oh, well, that's why, because he's having trouble putting sentences together, and they don't want the public to see that.
Why would they keep that a secret? Why would he refuse to admit time to step aside months and months ago? I don't understand that.
I really think, just my personal opinion, not my psychic intuition, but just my personal opinion, is that the COVID that he got again has really spooked him. And I think his wife may have had something to do with his decision of saying, enough's enough.
Although there's a lot of talk I
for you
heard
to
from.
leave.
I heard talk. My sister was involved in the Democratic Party, worked for Jerry Brown, and she said that people were saying in those circles on the West Coast that in political circles that the reason Joe Biden was even in the race at all was because of his wife. That his wife was the one who was pushing him to do it.
Well,
yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
they always blame the woman.
But did you see what happened after the whole that debate? How she goes, "You did great, Joe. You answered all the questions."
No, I didn't watch the end of it.
No, it wasn't the end. It was after it, and it was what that was to me was the really weirdest thing. Was he did terribly in the debate, and then there was an after party for the debate, and she just looks at him and says that, and he just looks totally oh yeah, really excited. It was not good. In fact, that was worse than the debate, in my opinion. It was more castigating and kind of
Delusional. Yeah.
it was really not good.
Yeah, I just watched till they were done debating and they said, okay, the debate's over, and they were putting down the lights, and then I turned it off. I didn't realize there was going to be like a revealing weirdness. Yeah, didn't know. I didn't know he'd have to be escorted off the stage.
Well, it was like later they showed the party afterwards, basically after the debates, and it was that scene. Like it played a few times. It was sort of.
They had a party.
They had a party, yeah, and that's what she said to him when he showed up.
I'm reading here that the Democratic Party has swiftly made Kamala Harris its new presidential nominee official with the Federal Election Commission.
That's
today.
Good.
They didn't waste any time. They jumped right on it.
That's good. I'm glad they did that. Yeah, I'm glad that they yeah.
I mean, like I said, Harris was my first choice in 2020. That was who I went with first, and I was really starting to get worried about President Biden, but I thought he was going to pull it out and just, maybe a year or two in, step back and let her take over.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't know. I'm really worried that a lot of people are going to say, y'all don't seem to know what the right hand and the left hand are doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
I don't know. I think that
we're just not going to vote. That's what I'm not so much worried about them throwing their vote to Trump as I am about them just not showing up at all.
Well, I don't think that will happen, because I think a lot of the people that they were worried about not voting were young people who did not want to vote for Biden. The Gen Z population, the millennials, they don't want to vote for Biden because he's too old, and
they'll like Kamala.
They were going to not vote because of that. And actually, I heard that John RFK Jr. was now thinking of dropping out. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but that would also probably free up some people to feel like, okay, I can vote for Kamala. So I think, if anything, this could not be more stark, the comparison between a prosecutor and like a black woman prosecutor and a white male felon. You know what I'm saying? It's like pretty, it is literally like a very
convicted sexual assaultist.
Yeah, right. I mean, you've got the only thing I think you could say that's maybe problematic is that, but you're not going to get those people anyway, are the Trumpers this is going to incite them into a whole new fever dream, crazy, she's black.
It doesn't take much to incite them.
No, it doesn't.
They're already there.
This is going to galvanize them even more into, and she's going to be more extreme in how she deals with things. I think she's talking about expanding the courts. She'll deal with, she's going to be a firebrand, I think. And I think that will probably push the, real extremist right wing to be even more galvanized in the next election and more crazy. My worry isn't about her not being elected. My worry is the Supreme Court handing it over to Trump if they are not taken out of their position of power before this election, because I'm really worried about that. I'm more worried about that than I am anything else.
But now Biden has nothing to lose. He doesn't have to worry about looking too political. He can go for it. He can go ahead and add seats. He can take people off. The Supreme Court handed him permission the other day.
They did. That's why he should use it.
Yes.
He should use it.
Yes.
David, you look like you're going to burst. What do you want to say?
Just that Joe Biden has been a consensus builder seemingly his entire political career. And the Supreme Court just recently said, no, it's okay to be a king. You don't have to build consensus anymore. And the Republican Party in its current version is not about building consensus.
Yep.
So while Biden is free to do whatever he wants to do, it's against his nature to be a dictator or an autocrat. Absolutely. Kamala Harris, on the other hand,
I know.
It's like, I hope were she to get the Democratic nomination, you have just opened a different can of fish with this
bass.
she strikes me as the type of person who will put your feet in the fire, and while you're squealing, she looks at you impassively, wondering if you've had enough yet.
She's tough, and it's great. Yeah, somebody needs
yes
to
or
be.
no. The answer is yes or no. Oh, squealing is not yes or no. Let me know when you come up with an answer. She reminds me very much of my wife. The type of person, and Jill Biden is like that too. Michelle's kind of a blend between the two. She's got the very supportive nature that Jill Biden has of Joe Biden, but Michelle has got the no F's given attitude for her job that she works at. That's what she does for a living. Is she holds lawbreakers.
You mean Kamala?
What's that?
Yeah.
Do you mean Kamala?
No,
Yes, my wife Michelle is like Kamala Harris in that she is
Oh,
like
your wife. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I live this. I know what the personality of both women are like.
She's very much an alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is.
And-
And she's a prosecutor. She's got mid in Aries. Yeah, she's definitely.
And I think the Republicans are now going to deal with something they've never seen with Democrats before. Somebody with a spine, somebody who has no problem wielding power and getting stuff done, because that's what they're going to do. And if you don't like it, well, too bad.
Right.
And
that's
she can argue a point.
Yeah, she's
Jasmine
a prosecutor.
Crockett from Texas has already come out and said, that she's supporting Kamala Harris 100%, and that if she heard any negativity from any Democratic legislator in any position, that she was basically going to wipe her hands of them.
Who said this?
Jasmine Crockett.
Oh, good.
Of course.
Let me just say that if she actually gets to debate Trump, she will eviscerate him.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
He's such a chicken.
Yeah.
He's
And
not
don't
gonna-
you know that
You know what?
JD Vance right now is doing
Pooping
the
his
happy
pants?
dance. It won't
no.
be him having to debate her.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So
But I have to say, the other thing I was thinking is because she's a woman and because she's black, this is going to be really bad for Trump, because Trump is going to not be able to help himself. He's going to say racist and misogynist things in a constant stream of racist and misogynist things that will backfire, because any black people that are kind of starting to think, well, maybe Trump would be good for me. I think if they start to see that, that's going to really get
But will
people.
the media cover it?
Where I would like to see Biden be a real son of a biscuit
I would
is to put pressure on the head of NBC that oversees The Apprentice, because the allegations that there are video of Trump dropping N-bombs and stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
oh yeah.
And, go ahead.
Listen to Noel Counselor for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
Be a king for a while and make the most vile threats that you may or may not back up until that tape is released. And, the MAGA folks, they're going to vote for Trump anyways. They've hit like their trifecta.
Right, they're going to vote for him no matter what.
They talk like that all the time themselves. They don't care.
They got their candidate. He's been shot at, and he's been wounded, and he's got a Purple Heart and all this stuff. And now his main opponent's dropped out. Everything's coming up, and all his court cases got delayed.
But you know what? That's also good, though, in some ways, because they really think that they're going to win.
Yeah.
And that's great, because that might make people who are like, well, I don't want to vote for Kamala, but I don't really want to, vote for Trump, who are kind of Republicans who might vote for Trump anyway. They might just sit it out because they got Trump's got it in the bag. So that could be good. That could be possibly an advantage that they're so cocky because.
But he's not. Point being, he's not bringing anybody new. They're already activated. So if you just bring a black woman in there, it's not going to make them vote any more than they already will. They're already showing up.
That's
so
correct.
now it's who can Kamala reach that Joe Biden may not have been able to reach?
Young people. Yes, totally. And the thing is, the other thing that Biden had issues with young people with was the whole thing going on in Israel and Gaza and the Palestinians. And Kamala has been advocating to pull back and not give Israel arms and to try to broker some kind of like pullback from doing that stuff and kind of trying to put more restraints on Israel. So I think that kind of as part of her platform will also bring in a lot of young people to want to vote for her as well. Because,
Denise, they're asking if there was something specifically in the astrology for Biden
I didn't,
or just for the United States that would have brought this sudden announcement out.
well,
I
it's
know
the
that
same.
Linda
Yeah.
G and Andre did a show the other day, and he was talking about while it was good for Biden, that Kamala's astrology chart was like through the roof good for the election.
Well,
So
yeah, I didn't have her time of birth till today, and I looked at it, and it is really good. She's got like multiple grand trines happening all over the place, and I think she is definitely going to win. I'm not worried about her winning. I'm worried about Trump trying to steal, and that it's not going to be easy. Trump is going to try
Supreme
to
Court.
steal it,
Yeah.
the Supreme Court, yeah. But to this point, there's a Uranus-Mars conjunction on Algol, which is this fixed star, which is considered to be, besides the Pleiades, the most evil kind of star that there is. And that Mars-Uranus conjunction is creating a lot of people feeling like they're losing their heads, a lot of change, a lot of really erratic kind of left turns. It started actually during the debate. It was kind of active then. And it's been active this whole time, including Trump getting shot, and now this. It's all these last couple of weeks that conjunction has been happening. Uranus has been stationed on Algol, and Mars started joining it in this last week. So that is what is causing all the crazy chaos. Yeah.
well, and something that we kind of brought out already that they're asking is, will Biden go ahead and expand the court
I hope so.
and do everything? Y'all want to pull cards on that? I think everybody's ready to start drawing.
I'm going to ask the Saints. I'm not going to use my hideous Republican cards. I mean, they're great cards. I love this deck of cards. This is the United States of Tarot, and it's genius.
I would also say, and I've been saying this on my channel, you know what? Write Joe a letter. Email him about doing this. Bother him about actually acting.
Allie did. Allie Martin, did.
Yes. Do it. Everybody should do it. Really do it, though.
Oh, yeah, here I go with all reverse cards again.
No, that's not good.
The last 2 nights, every other draw that I've done have been like all reversals, and I never get reversals. So I knew something was up this weekend with this stuff. This is crazy. Marina, what you got? You still looking?
Well, I got Wheel of Fortune. So things are changing. And you know what? I also get the Seven of Swords, and I'm wondering if maybe this isn't, kind of Biden's exit, saying, well, you know what? No matter what I do, you're going to accuse me of a whole bunch of shit. So if I'm going to get accused, I might as well do it. And is he going to expand the court? I think he is. I also get the Page of Wands. Yeah, he's going to get some, he's got some ideas on how to do it, and I think he is going to do it. And I wouldn't be the least little bit surprised if that was part of the agreement made with the Democrats, where he said, okay, you know what? Fine, you know what? I'll give it up. I'll walk away. But I want to add, and you've got to guarantee me that we're going to have the votes to do that. And they came back and said, yeah, we got the votes. And he said, I'm done.
And I think that he probably put out some demands that if I do this, I'm going to do A, B, C, and I want 100% support, no dissension. Yeah. And they had to all come back and say, yes, sir, you got it.
I think you're right. I think that's why they just supported Kamala like that, across the board. Also, that took care of the issue of the war chest thing, where all the money raised would just be lost if it wasn't handed to Kamala. Okay, and that may have been the donors too. Let's not forget And the real reason this is happening is because the donors have stopped giving money. And that's why Pelosi came to the table. All these people came and said, come on, Joe, we need to do that. And nobody wants this. We're not getting money. We're not going to win down ballot races. We're not going to be able to win against Trump unless you step aside. And that's the real ultimate reason. But anyway, sorry. That's my opinion.
What you got, David?
I don't think he's gonna add. I mean, maybe this is my lack of imagination here. I think he'll talk about it. He'll threaten it. He'll put machinations in place to advance it. So this is him talking with the Supreme Court, the six especially. It's like, you better start acting like Supreme Court justices. And this is him talking with them underneath it. Because I'm going to start exploring ways to expand the court. So the court better start working like the court is supposed to be working, a bunch of 8-1 decisions, not 6-3, or else we start a whole new process of expanding the court. So it's no longer 6-3, it's going to be 7-6 against. Or it could be 8-1, get everybody. But if Clarence Thomas wants to be the outlier and constantly vote against the rest of the court, that's fine. But I think he's going to go the diplomatic route. That's what I'm seeing. And it's going to be up to the next president to figure out a way to expand the courts.
Well, I started out with
do we know how many votes it would take in Congress or the Senate to do that?
I think it's 2/3, isn't it?
I don't know the answer to that.
It's hard to impeach. Yeah, but he doesn't have to impeach them now. He can do whatever he wants. He's a king now. So he doesn't have to go through the impeachment process. He can remove them at will. He has the power to do that.
Yeah.
He never, that's a new power that the actual Supreme Court just gave him. So he doesn't have to go through the impeachment process.
Anything that the president does in his duties is no longer criminalized. So the law of the land is the Constitution. He can break it any way he wants, and it's no longer a criminal act. So it doesn't matter what the rules are, essentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I started out with the, what is it here? I got the 9 of Pentacles reversed. So, a lot of upside down world, but they're opening up their pockets again because it's already coming out that the money is flowing in like crazy. Then I pulled Marina's Wheel of Fortune, but reversed. So again, we're all of this feels very out of control and very chaotic. Mm-hmm. And I think what I've been told when I've sat and thought about this earlier today and was kind of meditating on it this was all part of the plan. It just wasn't the timing changed on everybody. I heard somebody earlier say a timeline shift.
I agree. I 100% agree with that. I think you're right.
And then the last card I got was the 10 of Wands reversed. Now he's not going to have to hold all this weight himself. He can divvy it out to everybody else. As much as I love Biden, he was one of those that he didn't go out and do a lot of fanfare, but he did a lot of it himself. He just buckled down and did the job because that's just what he did. And Gary, did you pull anything? Did you get anything?
No, because I threw cards on Friday saying that Biden was going to be the Democratic nominee.
Hey, but the energy's changed, man. I mean,
I don't think you want my cards.
Yesterday. I pulled cards last night that said Biden was going to be the president. And
well, I guess last night he still was technically, right?
Yeah, but it. So yeah, energy's changed. Really.
Well, you know what I think is at play here right now is this is what I was just talking about on my Substack. Is we are in a very extreme period of novelty right now, where there is fate and then there's free will. Right? We're in a period of extreme novelty, meaning more free will than fate. And as somebody who's in this space of trying to predict things, right? It's very difficult to predict things when really everybody's decisions can shift on a dime because we actually, and I think that, in my astrology class, we had talked about this happening in 2020. We talked about Biden winning And because it happened on an eclipse, we thought that basically he would win a second term, but that Kamala, because the last time it happened on an eclipse was when Roosevelt had won and he died in his his third, fourth term, whatever it was. He was, then they made laws about that. We figured he might pass the torch in his second term to Kamala, and that's when things would get going. Here's the thing. I think this may sound really weird, but like you said about a timeline shift, we're like on a time schedule with a Pluto return for the United States Constitution signing chart. We're in between these two Pluto returns at the beginning of our nation. And I think that because Trump was having so much energy, they're just feeding, it's feeding this machine, and he's growing into this demigod, right? And he's kind of unstoppable in that way. Yet now is not the time for us to go full bore into this total fascism, or to really face this kind of massive Pluto return situation. That the universe is like, everybody kind of felt it. If we don't do something about this, we're going to end up in the Handmaid's Tale in like 6 months. People are going to be put in jail, and the whole world is going to change radically. And people are scared, and they're stepping up because they're frightened. I mean, there was a guy who was just on X and all over social media talking about how he was appointed as the Secretary of Retribution.
Yeah.
200 names of people that he wanted to murder. And these people that are making this decision, most of them were on that list.
And they want to have public executions, and they want to make it mandatory for all kids 12 years old and older will have to attend. I'm not making this up. This is
I know. Well, this is the reality that they're up against, and I think they can't lose. They can't go back. See, the Democrats, in my opinion, have always been sort of complicit on a certain level, although I love the Democrats and I always vote Democrat, but they have been complicit in allowing the Republicans to get totally out of hand and not checking them, right? But now their lives are literally at stake. It's not just their careers. Their careers, they can come or go, but if your butt is on the line and you might lose everything because these guys win, I think it's a different game. And I think they're waking up to that this is getting crazy. The 2025, the Project 2025 stuff is so outlandish and insane and so draconian. I think they're getting freaked out. And I think this is and the donors are too. Look, I mean, if the Republicans have their way, anybody who's on our side is going to be put in a camp. I mean, that's what they want to do. So this is a life or death situation. It's not a normal election. It's not even about democracy. It's about kind of, I mean, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I mean, we're talking about the end of life on this planet, as we know. I mean, you can cascade out all of these different things and just say, look, what they're going to start putting people in camps, murdering their enemies. They're not going to interfere in any parts of the world. So they're going to let Russia just bulldoze into Europe. There's going to be a world war. I mean, every plan, every idea they have is something that would
existential.
It's existential threat. I mean, also, like, they're going to do nothing on climate change. We know that by 2021, by 2100, it's supposed to go up 2 degrees. The way that we're headed now,
drill, baby, drill.
And that's with the Paris Accords. If we don't do the Paris Accords, it's going to go up 4 degrees by 21. I mean, that is not livable. You can't. I mean, everything is so extreme. I think that's what pushed.
Something I've always told everybody is the Earth isn't going anywhere. It's still going to be here.
Sure.
The rest of it, that's not going to be here.
Sure.
These are the 4 names that are being floated for VP.
You want to see the cards I got?
Yeah, I wanted to. I
yes,
have cards
ma'am.
here.
I think you're going to like these cards. I was surprised. So this is what I got last night. And I got it immediately again, the 3 of Swords. I think this guy looks like J.D. Vance, and women are not happy, right? Literally, I mean, not even metaphorically. But then I got the Devil reversed. I got the Tower reversed. The Knight of Staffs, Biden taking action to the Queen of Staffs, Kamala taking over as the Star, and women will rejoice.
I threw a yes, no. I didn't ask the question like specifically. I just asked, is Biden going to do anything about the courts before he leaves? So I left it open. Meaning, could he he doesn't have to necessarily appoint more judges. Maybe he'll pull some of those guys out and basically, I mean, they lied to Congress. They said that they were stare decisis. They lied openly. Whatever.
And that's an impeachable offense right there.
Yes, it's
The fact that
impeachable.
they lied.
And yeah, they lied to Congress. And also what Junkie McGee, he basically, he wasn't really properly investigated.
Who are we talking about?
Junkie McGee, beer.
Oh, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. He literally,
Justice, I like beer.
yes, that's all he cared about was beer. He had horrible debts that, were paid off and
Overnight.
Overnight.
His gambling debt was paid off. His
mortgage.
And
There
his
you go.
mortgage was paid
So,
off.
you
these
pull
are the
him
four
off
names
because
that they're floating for VP right now. I don't know.
Oh, wait. Okay. I got a yes, though, to the answer to that question.
Yes, he's going to do something about the
He's gonna
Supreme
do
Court.
something.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
got
so.
the same card that she got, which was the Seven of Swords. I've got the World card. I've got this card at the center. I use a yes/no spread. And this is kind of like walking away. As he's walking away from this, he's going to do something.
Was that the Eight of Cups?
Mm-hmm. Eight of Cups at the
I
center.
couldn't see it.
And
I did the pendulum, and I did it about 6 times in a row, and I got, he's going to do something every single
He's going
time.
to do something. I don't know if what he's going to do, but he's going to do something.
This
And
is
the
a good
moon card is
question.
something is going to.
Kathy is asking is how do we know that the Democrats that made this deal with President Biden are going to honor their agreements?
What is that question?
Oh, you mean like members of Congress?
Yeah, those that for whatever, to get Biden to do what he's done, I firmly believe that there was a bargain made of him saying, I will do this if 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these things go through, no questions asked, no dissension, absolute 100% behind me. And when I said that earlier, that's when Kathy put this up. How do we know they will honor their agreements to Joe?
Oh, we don't.
We don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Anybody got a feeling on that or want to?
Well, I did the pendulum again, and I got a yes, but I don't know.
Well, what
yes,
kind of agreements do you think they would have made with Joe? What kind of agreements do you think they are?
Support Kamala, do something about the Supreme Court. I don't know, maybe something about Israel, because he feels strongly about that.
Yeah.
Or maybe the Ukraine too, giving aid to making sure.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them.
Ukraine, yeah.
God.
Orders to
Here's a thought. Will Biden pass an
That's a good
executive
question.
order stating that felons can't run for
Excellent
president?
question. That is a great question.
That's a good one, Liz. That's a good one.
He should pass it now. He could do an executive order and just cancel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Genius.
He's
I
got
like
the
how this
power.
lady thinks.
Somebody quick call him up.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
somebody else pointed out that Kamala's name in Hindu means protector.
Kali. Wow.
The
Oh,
goddess
means what?
Kali,
Kali,
protective.
the destroyer goddess.
Kali. That's what her name is. And that she don't play. Yeah,
Yeah, she's intense.
I'm around a lot of Hindu students and faculty, so yeah, I hear a lot about those gods and goddesses. That's really interesting. And I think we already covered this. Book wanted to know,
Yes, it
does
does.
the campaign war chest transfer? Yeah,
Yes, it
it
does.
goes straight over.
Yeah.
And will Joe Manchin cause election whatever by jumping in? I don't think anyone wants to pay attention to Joe Manchin. He can't decide whether to.
Get her
Never
off the
mind.
pot.
Never
We
mind.
know.
I was going to get gross. No, he doesn't know what side of the fence he's going to.
I thought he was gone already.
Even
So
though-
about Joe
Yeah.
doing an executive order? I don't know. I got the 10 of Cups. That's very, it's a positive
Yeah.
card.
No one
What?
cares
Yeah, I
about
mean-
Manchin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be great if you
He doesn't have what it takes. And besides, he's not a Democrat. He's
No.
a Republican pretending to be a Democrat. So
He's a
you know,
pragmatist, is what he is.
yeah.
Yeah.
He made a lot of money being a undecided vote that both sides could throw a lot of stuff at him to
A lot of
bring back
money on
his
him.
state.
That's true. You're right.
And
You're right
Kirsten
about that.
Sinema tried to muscle in on his game, and it didn't work out for her very well either.
Yeah.
Clarence, what do you mean? Do you mean like everybody, will all the voters show up on election day?
Well, all who voted in
Maybe
the
he's talking about the delegates.
oh, who voted
Well, don't
in-
they kind of have to? Isn't that their
Well, I
job?
think he doesn't maybe understand. The primaries are already happened, and that already.
Well, yeah.
What event too? I'm not sure.
That's what I'm asking. The election, maybe?
Yeah.
Election
I think
day?
he's talking about the delegates at the Democratic National Convention.
Yeah, that's what
Maybe
I'm thinking
that's what he
because
means.
that hasn't happened.
Oh,
And the
right,
fact
right.
that they did this
Talking about the
just a
delegates,
couple
probably.
of weeks out before the convention, you know,
Voted in the primary.
I think was a wise.
He's talking about
choice
he must be
to go
talking
ahead
about
and
the
do it and be
delegates.
done with it.
I can't imagine why they wouldn't. Can you imagine why they wouldn't come?
Well,
Would they
no,
be that?
delegates always go to primaries. That's
Yeah,
what they do.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. They're going to go show up no matter what. They can if they make it so that basically it's an open convention, the delegates can go and choose whoever they want. But if they already have assigned her as the sort of heir apparent, then there may be deals made to just hand over the delegates over to Biden over to Harris, and that's the only thing that would be different from what I know about it. That's what
I got the Hierophant. I think they're going to use their better judgment. I don't think there's going to be a lot of malice and backbiting and stuff. I get the feeling that the Democrats in general are desperate and frightened.
Yeah.
I am. I know I am.
Yeah. And the thing is, this should have been sorted out weeks ago. I mean, they should.
Yes.
It shouldn't
Last
be.
year.
It's going to be Kamala, dude. You can't just do this and not have the plan set up. It's such a rookie move. This close to an election. This is aggravating.
Although at the
Well-
same time, a lot of people have pointed out that other countries only have 4-month long election cycles.
Sure.
And that our election cycle is way too long. And if it was me, I think if we should all at some point in the next several years, because this isn't going to go away, even if Kamala becomes president, we're going to face this threat again every election for the rest of our lives. And what we need is a constitutional convention to solve some of these problems. And one of them should be campaign finance reform, where there's no
money.
No
Yeah.
money. It's just
No
publicly funded, and it lasts for a few months, and that's it. Just like we do it in other democratically elected. We should
And
get-
all media should be required to provide an equal amount of free ad
Yes.
time to all candidates.
yes, exactly.
Just straight across the board.
And no electoral call.
Yeah, get rid of them. Who needs them? Yeah.
There's so many things. There's so many things the founders didn't know were going to happen, that if we really put our minds together and rethought some of these things that are, got rid of some, well, look at what's happening with the Supreme Court. I mean, it's completely a rogue, captured entity that I am more afraid of than even this election, to be totally honest with you. They're already deconstructing our democracy, and they are just shredding the Constitution openly. And I don't trust them to basically listen to what the voters want.
Oh, they don't at all. They don't care.
They don't care. I mean, they handed the election to George Bush. What's to say they're not going to do that to Trump? And to me,
Well, I think they will.
this is much more scary than, we can all go out and vote for Kamala, but is this going to even be an election? That's because of this Supreme Court. Biden has to do something about it, because
Yes.
if he doesn't do something about it, we're in big trouble, I think, even with Kamala at the top of the ticket. That's my
I'm
opinion.
asking the cards, are they going to hand it to Trump, the Supreme Court?
I hope they
Yeah,
don't.
they have to do something before the election. It's like trying to win an argument with a drunk. You can't. You're not going to get anywhere by trying to reason with the Republican side, by trying to be nice, by trying to be accommodating. They don't play fair. They lie. They will do anything to win.
Oh,
So-
delusional. Yeah.
Yes. So now is not the time to reach across and say, oh, come on, guys, let's do this. Now is the time to put on your big boy pants and say, you, enough. This is what I'm doing. I have the power. Your boys over there gave it to me. I'm taking advantage of it. Sit down, shut up. We're done. See you in November.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Okay, well, I
You're
wrote
right.
out Helen's question there that we could draw on
Okay.
just to see what we can pull up. But yeah, they're saying they've already raised $27.5 million since he
That's good.
said that he
Who has? The Democrats?
Democrats, yeah.
donors.
Just
They've
today.
already-
Well, now you know it's
Why
in the
should
last
money
2 hours.
even be?
It shouldn't be.
Exactly.
None of this should be happening. But it
Okay, I
is.
got the Eight of Pentacles evaluating what they've been up to, and this is Tesla, Nikola Tesla, and you get the sense of, creating dark magic almost, that what they've been up to. And I get the Ace of Pentacles, putting a stop to that, putting a stop to all these things that they've been up to. And then I got the Star.
Yep.
So
I got that too.
I think that's positive.
Dave, are you pulling the same cards?
Very similar. I got the Eight of Pentacles as my foundational card with the Seven of Swords underneath it. And that Eight of Pentacles came up on that previous reading I had when Biden's talking with the Supreme Court. And I had translated in that one to be, get back to working like you are supposed to be working. No stealing the elections. This is the United States and the Supreme Court. If you do, basically, he's going to get them to agree to rule on this like the Supreme Court is supposed to rule. If they cannot do that, now, and here's my agreement card. So I think he works out an agreement with them that he will not expand the Supreme Court if they start following the law.
Good luck with
Underneath
that.
it all, I've got the Five of Wands. So there's going to be a lot of unhappiness, shall we say, with at least a couple members of the Supreme Court with this arrangement, because I think Biden's going to strong arm them, and he's going to strong arm them at least for the next 5 months. That they have to pay.
Yeah, how
I don't know the answer to that.
a lame duck
Dave,
president?
I got something kind of similar because I actually did throw the cards on that. Even though it's like, are you sure you trust me? I'm gonna have to get my memory, but the signifier I got was a Ten of Wands. It's you got this big workload ahead of them.
Yeah.
But the priority clarifier was the Six of Pentacles.
Okay.
Because they got the scales of justice and trying to make things fair, and then the other two clarifiers were the Five of Pentacles. He's trying to balance either trying to balance people feeling that they're left out or threatening that you're going to be left out, and the other clarifier was the Strength card, that basically, I'm going to do this if you don't. I'm going to do this. You're going to be left out in the cold if you don't start making this fair and balanced.
I don't like this. I don't like
I got the strength card.
threats. Yeah, I don't like the threats. I want the action. I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't
think-
either.
I think that's kind of how you get the Supreme Court to come around, because right
How
now,
is a threat going to help them because they have job security that's infinite
For
they don't
life. Yeah.
it's not necessarily that he's going to remove Supreme Court justices. He's threatening to stack the court.
It's not, yeah, but it's not stacking the court. It's putting the right amount of justices on the court to reflect the number of different districts. There's supposed to be one per district. We now have 13 districts.
Right.
That would be appropriate. There's no high or low limit, only that it should correspond with the districts. I don't know why he would give them leeway. They cannot be trusted.
No,
They've
can't.
proven they cannot be trusted. I'm not yelling at you. I'm expressing extreme frustration with the situation. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I got a very strong maybe they might, but I don't think I don't personally think that Biden is. I got the strength card too reversed, but I got a maybe on the whole thing. I think that he's thought about it. I think he's made some decisions, and I think I don't think he's gonna stack the court. I think that maybe he'll put like somebody, like I think it was you, David, who said that he's gonna maybe put some things in play that will ultimately work out so that after the election, Kamala can easily kind of deal with it. But I don't think he's going to do it, though. I mean, it looks like I don't know.
He's got nothing to lose at this point. Nothing.
I agree.
Because it's not his nature.
It's not his nature. Yes, I think that's it. I mean, he's thinking about it, but I'm not sure. It's like a maybe.
Kamala Harris would do it in a second.
Kamala Harris, she'll do it.
An ounce of sleep over it.
She will do it. She will absolutely do it. He might. He's thinking about it.
I don't get that. I feel like hold my beer. I'll do it.
I agree.
You know, this is ridiculous. Yeah.
Marina, did you draw cards?
Kind of. No, not really. I've been kind of paying attention to the more to the chat, and yeah, I fully understand people's frustration.
Yeah.
And I do take issue with some of the comments about, you know, how we all got it wrong and we this and we that.
You mean we us?
Yeah. As in,
oh well.
Psychics and readers.
Yeah, we got it wrong. The only thing that I can say to that is, if my rate of accuracy was 100% and I could predict the future, I guarantee you I wouldn't be spending my time here on YouTube chatting with the likes of some of the people that are in here.
Hey!
Because no, and I'm talking the readers. I mean the people that are in the chat, that you can kind of hide behind that, some of that anonymity and you know,
you should read the comments. Don't read the comments. I did that last time. I got really mad at someone too. I would just not read them.
Marina, I thought you were busy planning on how to build a wall on our northern border.
Yeah. There are people who just want to get attention that way, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
don't feel bad about it.
You know what? You can say a lot of things, but you know, for those that make those comments, why do you keep showing up at every single thing that we do and request a free reading? Why don't you throw a little bit of cash our way? See if our percentage rate doesn't go up.
And you know what? The cards don't lie. No. We flawed human beings may misinterpret them. We got cards that said exactly what's happening was going to happen. We didn't understand it. We were extrapolating it farther in the future. Yeah, nobody here, I don't think any of us would proclaim to be perfect. Grain of salt. I think block of salt. I should just provide everybody with a block of salt.
Yeah. Like I said earlier,
also you have to remind everybody that the energy changes sometimes minute to minute. What was very clear on a Friday, because that's what the energy was, we were pulling up, and the energy we were reading did a flip-flop on us and complete opposite today on Sunday, and that's very possible.
I can speak to this personally, like in terms of I've been being a professional psychic since I was about in my early 20s. And after 2012, there's a big change in how things are. The future is not set in the same way that it was pre-2012.
Different.
There really is a difference. Before 2012, you could tell people. I mean, it was like everything was like very laid out, and there was. I would say there was more fate than there was free will. Mm-hmm. But after 2012, I think that was when we went into this weird period, which I'm calling it like a judgment period. I think it's every decision we make is so much more exaggerated than it was before this. We're in a shift from one time period to another. We're going from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. And I can tell you that everything is different. When you feel into the future, there's always a bifurcated future. It's not a clear one-way path because we're at the start of a new age. We're not at the end of an old age. We're at the beginning of a whole new period of time, and we're making it up as we go along. I mean, I think that's part of it. I also think there's a sort of, we're in a very precarious situation where sort of I think the universe wants to give us a chance to sort of save ourselves, but we keep screwing it up and trying to kill ourselves. So I think there's a real fight between light and dark right now, and I don't think it's really agreed.
You want to hear about something really interesting that I've just recently been reading about, and I'm going to do a video on it later this week, but I think this is really interesting. Pull out your block of salt, but listen to this. People have been told, sources, people in the government, military, intelligence, etc., have been told there's literally a struggle going on between different entities, different alien entities. The terminology is scary, but okay. And there are those who care about us and want to help us and have worked to our advantage, and there are those who thrive on the anger and the fighting and the contention and all the negativity. And they are working very hard to rile us all up. And the most significant way that they have over time contributed to the violence, the anger, and the hostility on this planet is through organized religion. That it was a creation of these entities intent purely on feeding their own needs from our killing each other, fighting, the violence, and all of that. What we have here is the ultimate culmination of all of that. We've reached the end point in that struggle. And people say often to me, oh, well, the aliens are going to prevent us from killing ourselves with nuclear thing. You know what? No, they have up until this point, but they cannot go beyond the boundary of free will. Now it's up to us. This is a karmic moment. And we have to decide, where do we land? Do we land on the side of good or on the side of evil?
Well, this is exactly the point. If we are in a, let's say I'm calling it kind of like a judgment period, but a really karmic period.
Karmic, yes.
Every single thing we do has immediate repercussions. Every decision has an immediate kind of, we're not in a normal time frame. This is a time frame where if one person decides to do something slightly different and it influences. This is why it's so important that every person is awake and aware and making good decisions and being plugged in and trying to do what's right, pray, help other people, be as good of a person as you possibly can, vote, be involved, because you will make a difference. Every single person has more power now than they've ever had in the entirety of human history. It's all happening right now.
It's a collective test.
It's so important. And I mean, we are literally on the brink of existential. I mean, we're on the brink of extinction.
Yeah.
And if we do the right things, we can save ourselves. If we don't, we're going to go extinct. And this is why predicting the future is not really possible in this period exactly. It is not. Yeah. I've had dreams that were really, really crazy, like nuclear war dreams and dreams of really horrifying things. And then dreams of really very extreme, possible futures, being in the stars and living on other planets, and also total annihilation. Which way we go is our decision. This is our karma.
Too many variables of free will and too much individual karma at play all at the same time.
Well, I think what I'm saying is fate has been removed. That has been the training wheels. How I think about it is the training wheels of fate are removed. We are now on a bike by ourselves. This is all on us. We have to do the right thing. And there is no predicting it because we each one have our own will and we're all fighting collectively to push one way or the other. And it's going to go back and forth in crazy ways until this thing ends in one way or the other. That's what I think.
Yeah. There's, I can tell you the energy that I'm feeling around something at this moment. Okay.
Right.
10 minutes from now, the person that I'm telling that this is happening can change their mind about something, or someone within their sphere of influence can change their mind about something that has an effect on that person.
That's great.
It has an effect on the energy that I have read. It does not mean that I am wrong. It means something has happened. There are, and I have said this many times, when I've gotten a feeling on something, when I've gotten cards for something, that listen, if I'm wrong on this, I would gladly be wrong. I would gladly be wrong. It's not, I don't keep score.
I keep journals. I mean, I've been putting my stuff out on public, out in the public since 2008, and I can tell you that even before that, I was keeping journals. I've been putting those journals out there on my Substack, and dreams I had in the 90s are happening now.
Yeah.
Okay. But
Yeah.
I can tell you that now I don't get information 20 years in the future. I get information maybe at the most 6 months in the future.
Yeah.
Because things are changing so quickly.
Exactly.
And things are not the same as they were when I started as a psychic. It's a completely different energetic field, and it's like
Yes.
chaos. It's really true.
And for those of us who are coming into this fairly new, like Gary and I mean, I just started this a little over 3 years ago, and I started opening that door back up about 7 or 8 years ago, but I didn't really embrace this until about 3 to 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like, it can be very overwhelming at times because you get, there are many times when I get conflicting information or conflicting images that it's like, okay, well, which way am I supposed to look at here? And
Yeah.
you know, and I feel like I'm being told you have to make a choice.
You get a disconnect between your head and your gut where you think you sense what's happening. You don't want it to happen. You know, it's a real
That's another
too.
problem.
You got
That's
that
another
too,
problem.
you know,
Yeah.
And there's another thing, there's trust. Gary and I were talking about this yesterday because we tend to film our videos on a day or two and then spread them out during the week for the Twin channel. How many times can you read on Biden's energy if he's going to stay in the race? We had this conversation yesterday. Literally, we could do 3 readings a day because it could change any time. We may never find out when Biden changed his mind, but it was somewhere between last night when he went to bed and the morning on Sunday morning when he woke up. And if you didn't nail the reading around that time frame, you weren't going to get this.
Right.
I went to bed last night. I had watched a TikTok video, Under the Desk News. A woman who does this, who I trust, she does a very good podcast. And she was saying, her source was saying that Biden was going to step down this weekend. After watching that, I was in a bad mood because it made sense. Yeah. All the people talking out in public, and she's got sources and it's somebody who I trust. And I didn't sleep well last night because my brain was churning on this. I woke up at 3 a.m. and I did a Google search on Joe Biden. This is not something I normally do. Just to see if news was out that he had resigned. And when I woke up this morning, I checked it again. And it was only when I sat down at my desk, I literally boot up my computer and Gary called me to say Biden had dropped out. And I was dreading that news because I knew it was going to happen today.
Right.
To the point where I almost did a reading. But it's like, you know, every reading I'd done up to that said that Biden was going to stay in, he was going to win, he was going to be exhausted, but he was going to get through this. Right. But Biden changed his mind.
He changed his mind. That's right. He changed his mind. And that's the thing. I mean, enough people came to him and pushed him to that place where he shifted. And he wasn't going to. I mean, it took, you know, by everybody just pulling their support and just pushing, and finally he did. It's kind of like Grandpa taking the keys away from him. You can't drive anymore. And he wants to keep driving, but finally somebody gets those keys and he can't drive anymore. And that's what happened with Biden. And that's the thing that you can't, this is like, this period of time is so novel. Like, I don't know if any of you guys know about Terence McKenna's work, but he basically, you know, talked about novelty and what's the other word? It's like stasis, but he has a other word for it. But basically, you know, change and things staying the same. And he was talking about how as we approached the millennium, things were getting faster and faster and more novel. But now we're just in this period where everything is happening on this frequency that, I mean, look, we've also moved from a Piscean age into the Aquarian age, I think in 2012. And the energy is different. We're building a whole new possible future. And I believe that, you know, as things end, it's very predictable. Everything was in sort of it was an easy trough. People were kind of in a certain flow. Everything has just completely shifted into this new dynamic, this new paradigm. And it's not easy to predict in the same way that it was 20 years ago.
And to go by something you just said, Denise, how many of us in the last 5 years have been saying, doesn't it seem like time's going so much faster?
Yeah.
It's like
It's
it was
weird.
just January yesterday, and now it's almost August.
Well, see, I thought that was my age.
I did too. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I thought it was because I'm up in my 60s now, and I'm like,
Yeah, that
okay,
does
well,
happen.
you know, maybe because you know I've always heard older people say time goes faster when you get older,
Right.
but it's like the last, I would say, 5 years. It's like shoo, shoo. Each year just seems to zip by faster than the year before.
Right.
I don't know if it's part of this shift or if it's just me getting older and I don't want to hit the end, you know. But
Well, this is why I have so much trouble with calendars and schedules. Time has no meaning.
yeah, as I say, and I live by a calendar and schedules, so
Yeah.
but that's part of my job too.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it's just a matter of being able to understand that things are shifting and changing so fast now.
they are. I
That
mean, it's easier to read
David
talk
and
to dead
Gary can
people
give
than
an
it is to do
excellent
this.
reading at
Yeah.
7 a.m. on a Saturday, and you watch it, and you're like, oh my God, that's exactly what's going on. And by 7 p.m. that night, the whole world has flipped on its head.
Right.
Everything's totally different. And now Marina and Helen are given a reading that's complete opposite.
Totally different.
And
Yeah.
you get those in the middle that are like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
who am I
also there's
supposed to
something
believe? Well,
else.
you can believe both.
I think the
because
other
both
thing is when you're tuning into this
energies that
energy,
happen.
there's also kind of like, you know, you don't know what you're tuning into as well. You know what I mean? There's so many possible strands of things happening, and there's so many different people's. You know, it feels like, and we're in a period where it really does feel like there's a fight going on between
Yes.
good and
Yes.
evil,
Yes.
and we're in this very extreme place. Not only are we in this sort of period of, I mean, I think it's gotten harder even in the last few months. It's gotten very difficult
Yeah.
to. All I could tell is feeling this wave of chaos. That's about all I could tell was going to be this summer of chaos. Is all I knew for sure.
That's
I
that's
haven't
what we
even
kept
been
getting.
doing any kind of YouTube videos because I don't even know how to decipher it because there's so much just randomness. It feels like that twists and turns, and how is it going to play out exactly? I mean, I you know, honestly, I didn't even want to dip my toe into trying to figure it out because it just seemed like there was just so much of it happening, you know, so quickly.
And Marina, I wanted to tell you that it's my feeling that when you read comments and people are lashing out, I really think that people are scared, and it translates as anger. They have to lash out at somebody or something. People are scared. People are picking up on this, and they don't understand what it is they're feeling. And it's nice to have somebody to blame, you know. and unfortunately, it's misplaced. But
Well, I think also too, it's kind of like one of those things where as humans, we all have a certain bias as well. And we have to be careful about our own bias.
yeah,
I've been, you know, I don't want to just see what I want to see. But also as somebody who's doing this in this realm, this public realm, and there's certainly people that, you know, who really, this is really kind of, you know, it's sort of like, you know, you see it on people who are readers on the right, and you see it in people in our space on the left. We want to interpret things in our way that we see the world, and we want those things to happen. And we all have to be careful that we don't do that overly. You know what I'm saying? That we don't just confirmation bias, you know, of our own and what we want. But I think, you know, that's the question I've been really struggling with because I don't want to do that. And I really felt a lot of shifts and changes and kind of depressed actually coming into the spring. I mean, I talked to you about it, Ellen, but I haven't really been making a lot of videos because I just felt this sadness kind of coming, this intense sadness. I hope it's not going
Maureen
to
asked a really good question here about how do you block out the negativity and choose peace? What are some of the things that you each individually do?
Well, I have an opinion about that. I'm gonna jump in because I have a strong opinion about it. I think you can choose to lead your life from a place of love and compassion in your immediate circle. I think if you're living in the context of a larger society, a world, a karmic situation that's full of negativity and a lack of peace, you may not get to choose. You're just in the soup. You're in it. And what you really need to be asking is, how do you cope with that? You can't block it out. It's there. It's the reality. And at some point, you're going to have to confront it. But how do you cope with it? How do you live on a daily basis and not just lose your mind? Because that's what Denise is talking about, that overwhelming sense of depression and just anxiety. And I think that's something we all struggle with because we force ourselves to face this stuff every day to read cards about it, right? So I think it's important to make decisions all day long in every little thing you do and ask yourself, am I doing this from the right motives? Am I doing this to help people? Am I doing this from love? What can I do for the neighbor next door? What can I do? Maybe I won't kick the dog. You know, you just have to make those little decisions and have hope that that's going to make a difference. What else can you do?
I don't know. Yeah, what else can you do? And I don't know how many people have read Biden's official statement, his letter to the American people. It's on Twitter, and I think Midas Touch has already posted it up on YouTube and everything. But one of the things that he says in this letter is that he could not have done any of this without us, the American people. And together we overcame a once-in-a-century pandemic and the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. We protected and preserved our democracy, and we've revitalized and strengthened our alliances around the world. It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president, and while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term. And that he will speak to the nation later this week in more detail about his decision and why he made it. And then he kind of wraps it up with saying, let me express my deepest gratitude to all those who've worked so hard to see me reelected. I want to thank Vice President Kamala Harris for being an extraordinary partner in all this work, and let me express my heartfelt appreciation to the American people for the faith and trust you have placed in me. I believe today what I always have, that there is nothing America can't do when we do it together. We just have to remember we are the United States of America. That's only pulling some of the highlights out of this letter. This is like probably 2 pages long. And it's up there, and I'll post a copy of it on my community tab for anybody else that might want to read it. But I just thought, I mean, we've been at this a little over an hour, and I know we're all tired, and we all kind of already had other plans for our Sunday, and it wasn't doing this. So I thought that would be a good place to kind of wrap it up with his words and the fact that Vice President Harris has publicly accepted his endorsement for her. I don't know if she said anything about anybody else's endorsements. I've not been reading the news. I've only been skimming what's going in the chat and the few pop-up news things that have come up on my computer here. But I think that the most important thing we need to remember is that whatever happens, we can endure it and get through it if we stick together. And that's the message, that's the feeling I get off of his letter to the American people, is he's telling us, yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, you're probably really upset with me right now because I've done a flip-flop on you, but he's got the maturity to look at the situation and say, this is going to be better for my country and my people than for me to stay into power.
Yeah.
It's going to be more beneficial for me to step back and let others step into their place of where they're being called to be. And that takes a lot of fortitude.
Yes.
And a lot of humbleness, I guess, would be the best way I could put it. to
Pardon?
and being a true patriot, right,
Yeah.
Denise?
Yeah.
Did you
of
notice he
saying-
didn't blame anybody else?
Yes, he's strong.
No, he did not.
He's
He
a
did not
good
blame
man.
anybody else.
He's a really
He
good
didn't
man.
blame anybody. He just simply said, after considering everything, this is what's best for the country. This
He's
is
right.
what's best for the American people. And it's got nothing to do with me. Now I'm sure personally, his personal stuff had a lot to do with his decision. But the fact that he's mature enough, adult enough, and God forgive me, man enough to be able to step out and say, hey, this isn't working, and it would really be better if I step back and let Kamala come forward. And I think now he's just going to simply ask everybody to throw their weight behind her. And so far, it seems like just about everybody in the Democratic Party is, with a few of them going to the extreme of saying, if I see any dissenters on this after y'all push this to happen, I'm going to call it out and make it public for everybody to know. So,
Yeah, AOC had said earlier today, I don't know if you guys saw that she was worried
she and
that,
Jasmine Crockett both
Yeah.
came out and made very powerful statements about it.
yeah,
What was she worried?
I want to thank y'all for joining us kind of last minute. I just felt like we probably all wanted to say something, and I think we all finally got a chance to vent a little bit, or just to let some of the chat vent, because they don't know what the hell's going on any more than we do. I mean, all we do is read the cards, what we throw, what spirit allows to come out, and then it's our job to interpret. And as many wise psychics before me have said, you can put 10 psychics in a room and blindfold them, and they're all touching an elephant, and they're all giving you a different description, because none of them are touching the same part of the same animal.
right.
Therefore,
Hey, it all boils down to one thing: love one another. That's
exactly.
it.
You gotta have and be ready for the pushback you're gonna get when you go out into the public tomorrow, and people are gonna start in on you, especially if they know you're a Democrat and you've already been very vocal about being, riding with Biden. All you can say is just, yeah, well, the bicycler changed. And so now we're riding with Harris, and I'm sure somebody much smarter than me will come up with a cute little saying for that. And that's what they get paid for, not me. And like Marina said, if I was smart enough to do all that, I wouldn't be on YouTube doing
I'd
readings
be
for
on
free.
some little island sipping margaritas.
I feel
might be doing that in a little
so
bit
sorry
anyway.
for Canada and Mexico. I wouldn't like to be living next door to these crazy neighbors.
Yeah, I would be the ones erecting the walls.
I'm embarrassed.
Oh my goodness. So thank you, Helen. Thank you, Marina.
Welcome.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you, David. Thank you, Gary,
Thank you, Sherry.
for hopping on. I know it was very last minute, and it was very haphazard, and it was kind of chaotic and whatnot, even with us, because we're all like, what the hell is happening here? And
Thanks for inviting us.
Absolutely.
thanks for indulging me and letting me kind of vent through y'all venting and through the chat venting, and I really appreciate it. And I look forward to us getting together again on a much calmer topic. We all gotta take our time and breathe through it. And and so I mean, I'll be back Monday, tomorrow night, with Mel, and I'm not sure who our guest is gonna be yet for our political show, Draining the Swamp. Marina, you and David have Taco Tuesday this Tuesday or next?
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday. Okay, so you got the next Tuesday. You'll see Marina and David doing their Taco Tuesday, and then
And Gary.
Yeah, Gary.
and Gary. Oh, Gary joined y'all now. Oh, wonderful.
It's a threesome.
Okay. And
Yes.
we've got Sisters of the Mystical Tarot on Wednesday. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday will be Golden Girls, which is another political show that we do. And The first and third Friday of the month is Polyterology with a Cool Pro. And those are all of the political shows off the top of my head I can think of, and there's a couple of dozen.
Tomorrow, I'm going to be joining Carrie O'Donnell, tarot soul writer, on her channel. We get together periodically,
very good. Yeah,
and
I did
we're
a
gonna.
thing with
I
her.
told her, I can't imagine what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we'll
Slow
figure.
news cycle.
Yes, exactly. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. I know y'all are all tired. I know I'm tired and I'm hungry, and I have laundry to fold. And in fact, I'm gonna have to go restart the dryer because everything in there is probably wrinkled now, because I've been on the computer and not doing my laundry.
Throw in a
And,
damp face cloth, and it'll
yeah,
get the wrinkles out.
do
Man,
that all the time.
I'm an expert on that. Putting it
sure.
off.
So, I'm just glad I have a washer and dryer now. 3 years ago, I didn't. So
Oh
I lived in
man.
an apartment
Oh.
that didn't have a washer and dryer, and I had to go to the laundromat every weekend.
Ugh.
I hated it.
That stinks.
So very
Yeah.
thankful I have one now. So
Yeah.
y'all have a great week.
You too.
Don't worry. Don't freak out. Don't get yourself twisted in knots. Spirit knows what's going to happen, and it's all going to work out for the best. I believe that. I really do believe that it's all going to work out for the best. And I really don't see 45 taking control again. And it's just, on our side, we got to do a few things to shore up those holes that he could try to slip through. And I think if we can get that done, then we'll be safe for another go round,
Well, if he wins
work.
the election, I'm going back on chocolate and sugar.
Ugh.
I'm serious.
I'll start smoking again. Give myself a heart attack.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's what I'll be working towards.
No, don't do heart attacks. My son just had a heart attack. Let's not do
I'm
that.
so sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
So,
Yeah,
yeah. So y'all have a great week.
you too.
Be kind to each other. Be nice to each other. Love one another.
Well, let's not get out of control, Sherry.
Okay, well, okay. Be kind to each other. And we
Thank you,
love
you guys.
regardless.
Thank you, everyone.